Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ESL-Easy English, the podcast that helps you on your journey to speaking English fluently and confidently. I'm your host, James.
And I'm Alison, your co-host and fellow English learner.
It's great to have you with us today, Alison. We've got a really practical episode planned. Today, we're going to talk about how to improve your English. This is a question we get asked a lot, isn't it, Alison?
Absolutely, James. It's the big question for so many English learners. They study, they practice, but sometimes they feel like they're not moving forward. So we want to share some actionable tips that can make a real difference.
Exactly. And we want to keep it friendly and encouraging. Learning a language takes time and effort, and sometimes a little bit of guidance can go a long way. So, Alison, where should we start? What's the first big tip you would give someone who wants to improve their English?
I think the most important thing is consistency, James. You know, doing a little bit every day is so much better than doing a lot once a week. Even just 15 or 20 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
That's a great point. Consistency. It's like building a muscle, right? You can't go to the gym once a month and expect to see big changes. You need to work out regularly. So, how can learners build that consistency into their daily routine?
Well, it's about finding what works for you. Maybe it's listening to a short podcast episode during your commute. Or perhaps it's reading a few pages of an English book before bed. Or even just practicing a few new vocabulary words while you're waiting for your coffee. The key is to make it a habit.
That makes sense. Small, manageable chunks of time. And it doesn't have to feel like hard work, does it? It can be enjoyable.
Definitely. If you're forcing yourself to do something you don't enjoy, you're less likely to stick with it. So find activities that you genuinely like. If you love music, listen to English songs and try to understand the lyrics. If you enjoy movies, watch them in English, maybe with subtitles at first.
Movies are a fantastic example, Alison. What about the subtitles? Should learners start with English subtitles or their native language or no subtitles at all?
That's a common question, and it really depends on your level. For A2 to B1 learners, starting with subtitles in their native language can help them understand the general story. But once they feel a bit more comfortable, I'd encourage them to switch to English subtitles. This helps them connect the spoken words with their written form.
And for B2 learners, or even some B1 learners who are feeling confident,
For those who are more advanced, try watching without subtitles altogether. It forces your brain to focus on listening and understanding. If you get lost, you can always go back and re-watch a scene with subtitles. But the challenge of listening without them really boosts your comprehension skills.
so consistency and making it enjoyable. What's another key tip for improving English?
I'd say active practice is crucial. It's not enough to just listen and read. You need to actually speak and write.
The speaking part. Many learners find this the most intimidating.
It is, but it's also the most rewarding. You need to find opportunities to speak English. This could be with a language exchange partner, a tutor, or even just practicing speaking out loud to yourself.
Speaking out loud to yourself, how does that work?
It sounds a bit strange, but it's very effective. You can describe what you're doing, narrate your day, or even practice answering common questions. For example, you could say, I am making breakfast now. I am frying an egg. This egg looks delicious. It might feel silly, but it helps you get comfortable with the sounds and rhythm of the language.
That's a great idea, Alison. It's like a low-pressure way to get your speaking muscles working. And what about writing? How can learners improve their writing skills?
Writing is similar. Start small. Keep a journal in English. Write a few sentences each day about your thoughts or your activities. Or try writing emails or messages to friends in English. Even commenting on social media posts in English can be good practice.
And for writing, is it important to worry about making mistakes?
It's important to not be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. The goal is to communicate. As you write more, you'll start to notice patterns and correct yourself. And if you have a teacher or a friend who can check your writing, that's even better. They can point out areas for improvement.
So we have consistency, making it enjoyable, active practice with speaking and writing. What else should we cover, Alison?
I think vocabulary and grammar are always on people's minds. How can learners improve those areas?
Let's start with vocabulary. A common mistake is trying to memorize long lists of words without context.
That's so true. You learn a word, but then you forget it because you don't know how to use it.
Exactly. So instead of just memorizing lists, try to learn words in context. When you encounter a new word while reading or listening, try to understand its meaning from the surrounding words. Then, look it up in a dictionary and see how it's used in example sentences.
And then, actively use the new word. Try to incorporate it into your speaking and writing as soon as possible.
Yes, use it or lose it, as they say. And for grammar, it's important to understand the rules, but also to see how grammar is used in real communication.
Many learners focus too much on grammar rules and forget about the natural flow of the language.
Right. So, when you're reading or listening, pay attention to how sentences are constructed. Notice the verb tenses, the prepositions, the sentence structure. And when you're practicing speaking or writing, try to apply the grammar points you've learned.
And don't be afraid to ask for clarification if something is confusing. A good teacher or a patient friend can explain grammar concepts in a way that makes sense to you.
So, to recap, consistency, enjoyable activities, active speaking and writing, learning vocabulary and context, and understanding grammar through use. That's a solid foundation, Alison.
It is. But I think another important aspect is immersion. Even if you can't travel to an English-speaking country, you can create an immersive environment at home.
That's a really valuable tip, especially for learners who can't travel. What are some ways to create that immersive environment?
It's about surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. Change the language settings on your phone and computer to English. Label objects around your house with their English names. Listen to English radio or podcasts while you're doing chores. Even try to think in English.
Thinking in English is a big one. It's a higher level skill, but it's incredibly powerful. When you start to process your thoughts in English, you're naturally thinking about sentence structure, vocabulary, and grammar.
It's like your brain is constantly practicing without you even realizing it. And it helps you become more fluent because you're not translating from your native language.
Exactly. And for immersion, what about engaging with English-speaking culture?
Yes, that's a great point. Beyond movies and music, you can follow English-speaking YouTubers, read English news websites, or join online communities related to your hobbies where English is spoken. The more exposure you have to authentic English, the better.
And it's not just about understanding, it's also about understanding the cultural nuances and common expressions.
Absolutely. Idioms and phrasal verbs can be tricky, but they are a big part of natural English. Learning them in context, through movies, shows, or conversations, is the best way to grasp their meaning and usage.
So we've covered a lot of ground today: consistency, enjoyment, active practice, vocabulary and grammar in context, and creating an immersive environment. Is there one final piece of advice you'd like to offer our listeners, Allison?
I think the most important thing is to be patient with yourself and celebrate your progress. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be days when you feel like you're not improving, and that's okay. Just keep going. And remember why you started learning English in the first place. Was it for travel, work, to connect with people, or just for the joy of learning? Keeping that motivation in mind can help you push through the challenging moments.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Allison. Patience, self-compassion, and remembering your motivation.
And celebrating those small victories. When you understand a difficult conversation or when you successfully express a complex idea in English, acknowledge that achievement. It fuels your motivation.
So, to our listeners, remember that every little bit of practice counts. Make English a part of your daily life. Find ways to enjoy the process, and don't be afraid to speak and make mistakes.
And remember that you are not alone in this journey. We are here to support you every step of the way.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights today, Allison. I'm sure our listeners have found these tips incredibly helpful.
It was my pleasure, James. I hope everyone feels more motivated and equipped to improve their English after this chat.
And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to ESL Easy English. We'll be back next week with another episode to help you on your English learning adventure. Until then, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep speaking.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.